Hello friends and welcome back. Today we're gonna make some secret pants. I didn't really know what to work on this week and I had a whole bunch of things that were like kind of options and stuff, so I left it up to my Patreon members to decide what I was gonna work on, and they decided secret pants, closely followed by a pirate shirt. So both things are currently on the board. What are secret pants? Secret pants are a Victorian Edwardian version of a really long skirt. For example, they are a skirt that hides the fact that it's actually pants. I know that both Bernadette and Morgan have made secret pants before, and I think they are both fabulous. They both did it in a very specific way, which has a panel that goes across the middle here, which you can see on this diagram that I'm showing you, and then you can fold it open to expose the pants. This pattern that I have here is completely different. It's a truly Victorian pattern, and it looks like it just sort of like buttons between the legs. And I am like, what is this situation? What? I'm very inclined to do the same kind that they did. However, that's kind of reinventing the wheel, and also I'm heckin' curious about what this situation is and how this ends up. Also, I realized that if I put another panel here, that would be more fabric in the front, especially since it has to kind of be two-sided so that it can go, you know, both ways and flop over. So I figured, why add the bulk? Maybe? I don't know. We're gonna try this, and if I decide that these aren't the one, then that's fine, and I'll just make it the other way also. That's the great thing about having a somewhat weekly YouTube channel, is I can just keep making secret pants. Anyway, I thought I would try this pattern because I haven't found anyone online who has tried this pattern before, and I would love to see what these are looking for. I am going on the Dandy Wellington cruise. As you guys know, I announced that last week, which should be super fun. His dates for what vintage is anything between 1900 and 1940. I am ooching that out to 1950s also, which has been completely blessed by the man himself, so I'm really excited about that. This pattern is 1901, so it scooches right in on that territory. So this is something that I could wear on that trip, which I'm very excited about to do a twofer. I have in the past made a vest, which you guys watch me make, which I love. I think it's a great vest. It is made to wear a corset under, and I am kind of wondering if I could make a vest where I didn't have to wear a corset under it. So we're gonna see about that potentially happening. I know that Truly Victorian also just released an early 1900s vest set of patterns. Like, there's many different vest variations that you can make out of their vest pattern. So I might be trying that also. But in order to, maybe, if I need to save some time, I'm going to hopefully use this same fabric because I have tons of this fabric. I also made my American Duchess cape out of this fabric. I bought a ton of it when I went to England. Do you know how heavy wool is to bring back from England? I had to get another suitcase. Anyway, I'm gonna use this fabric to make a hopefully wearable mock-up. Should I make a mock-up? Yes. I should be a good role model to everyone. Am I going to make this as my mock-up, hoping that it's actually really the real thing? Yeah, I am. I'm gonna make a wearable mock-up out of this fabric because I have used this fabric to death, and I feel like it is fine if I use up this fabric to make this thing, and hopefully it'll work out. I'm also going to make this to my uncorseted waist measurement so that I could potentially consider not having to wear a corset and slash bring a corset on this trip. I'm gonna see if that's a possibility for someone of my figure. Hopefully it is, but it would be a lovely thing that I could wear around the ship that would keep me warm and also be pants. So let's get started. The first thing I have to do is figure out if I have enough of this fabric, and then the second thing I have to do is cut the paper pattern out of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so this pattern calls for 4 yards at 60-inch wide fabric, and I have 5, so that's perfect because it also means I might be able to squeeze out another vest out of that. We'll see. Okay, so the instructions say that this can be flatlined if you want to. Normally I don't know that I would necessarily flatline this because it has a pretty good amount of body of its own. It's like this cut of fabric is pretty heavy, and if I'm going to use most of it, seems like it's going to be a fairly heavy skirt to begin with. However, it's wool, and I ran my arm on it and I was like, do I want this like constantly rubbing on my leg? And the answer was no. So normally I would think about lining it with a very thin linen or a very thin cotton, and I don't really have any very thin like dark colored linen, but I do have this, which was the cotton that I used to make my shimmy solaran. As you can see, it is very sheer, although when put over this it's really black. It's really thin and it won't add too much weight to the skirt, which I like about this fabric, and it will feel good on my skin if it's rubbing on my legs, and it will add just like the hintiest hint of body, but not too much to this fabric. So I feel like this is what I'm gonna do. Is this smart? I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I might be starching this stuff, we'll see. So I don't know if this particular cut has been through the wash, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash it just in case, and in the meantime I am going to read the instructions and cut this fabric. So I did read through the instructions, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that I'm like, what? Do? Like, I don't understand. That's pretty normal. Even for someone who's been sewing for 30 years, like, I very, very occasionally I'm like, what? 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 But it always, like, works out when I'm in the moment. I mean, there have been a couple times when I was like, I think a pattern instruction is missing and I just made some stuff up. But most of the time I'm always like, what is even happening with these instructions? And then I get to that point in the make and I'm like, oh, okay. This one has some like weird stuff from the get-go, but it has to do with those buttons. So I'm gonna worry about that when we get there. Okay, so one of the things that gets skirted over a lot when we talk about doing patterns and making clothes is the prep work that goes into it. So I just thought I would cover what I just did for this one panel, of which I have 6, which is I went ahead and cut out this black inner lining. I spray starched it, so I ironed it and spray starched it, and then I pinned it down to the panel it's going to go to, and then I pinned it all over the place so that it wouldn't move very much at all, so I would avoid getting as many bubbles as possible. And now I'm going to go sew it together with a basting stitch all the way around this at the very edge of it. Oh, before I did that, I did actually trim this up to true it to the skirt panel, because when you spray starch this was super gauzy cotton, it tends to stretch out a little bit, which it did, so I ended up shaving off a little bit on all sides. So now I'm going to go sew around this one panel. And I'm going to do that on all 6 panels. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to seam this guy. I haven't figured out if I'm going to do French seams. French seams seem very bulky for, you know, having wool in there and stuff, so I might just leave them zigzagged. So I'm probably also going to zigzag each panel all the way around, just to make sure that there's a finishing edge on all of these. So that's what's happening so far. Hello! We have everything flatlined here. I know that it has been mere moments for you guys, but for me, it has been about 3 weeks since I have filmed anything for you guys on this project. I did steps 1 and 2 and then completely checked out. Like, I decided to just pack for a few days for New York, and then I went to New York for 10 days. And then I came back and laid in bed for a week. And then I've been like slowly procrastinating doing other things all week this week. It's been a really long time. Did I have to tell you that? No, I didn't. But it will make a little bit more sense when I tell you that we have a new addition to the family, which I am very excited about. If I could play Stevie Wonder, Isn't She Lovely, I would do that for you. So I decided that I wanted a camera for photography. So I decided, my husband was like, I'll buy you one, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is the first time in my life that I've had a camera that has a body and lenses. So I don't even know if I'm into that. So we rented one for a week, which is partially why I didn't really work on this project, because my living room is currently a full photo studio with a 10-foot tall by 7-foot wide backdrop in it, and it has 3-point studio lights going on. My mannequin is down there, which is why Brunhilde isn't up here, because I was doing test shots and I was seeing what it would be like to have a camera with a lens and stuff. So yeah, it seemed like it was worth it to spend a little bit over $100 to rent one for a week and test it out before you're going to spend several $1,000s on a new camera and some lenses. So I ended up really liking it. So my husband actually bought it for me. I've been cashing or collecting up IOUs because he keeps asking me Christmas and birthday and anniversary and whatever gifts, and I'm like, I don't really want anything, I'm fine. Like, I have all the things I need in the world. I have fabric, it's fine. So I cashed in some chips and I got a new camera. I'm so excited. I was originally only going to get a 50mm lens and just use his lenses because I have an adapter mount also now. He has a really nice Canon 5D Mark III, actually has a couple of those, and then a number of very nice lenses. And I was just going to have my nifty 50mm lens because it's really like all I need for photography, and then if I can use his lenses when I go out, then cool. I also want to get like good at self-photography if I can. Take pictures of myself in costumes a little bit better. Maybe do some cool editing stuff. Maybe take some pictures of my friends in costumes. That kind of thing. So, however, they had a kit lens that I could get that took $100 off the lens. It wasn't super expensive. I think it added like $300 to the total to get a 24-105 lens. So that goes from a somewhat wide angle lens to a somewhat long lens. So if you do a lot of really good medium range, they had a really expensive upgrade with, it's the same lens, it's still a, was it 24-105? It's just a much better lens. But I'm not good enough to be able to tell the difference between those two lenses anyway, so okay, whatever. And that like distance is covered by his lenses. Also, I want to take this camera on the cruise, and I don't want to take his really expensive lenses like to London and whatever, and I would rather, if I get it stolen or drop it or whatever, it's a $300 lens and not a, you know, $3,000 lens, which is largely what he has is a lot of those kind of lenses. So we have a new family member and I'm very excited about it, and I will be filming some things with it. It's completely possible for me to film with that camera. It does not have very good audio. Like the audio that I'm capturing with this camera right now is fine for YouTube. It's not great. Like, could I wear a mic and sound way better? Yes. Am I going to sync all those clips given that I'm vlogging? Absolutely not. So no. On the R6 the sound is, I would have to have some sort of audio feature. I might get a shotgun mic for it so that I can just shotgun myself if I need to, and we'll see how that works. Not sure that's an additional like $300 that I would need to spend on it, so if you want to join me on Patreon, that'll help pay for that. But yeah, I might switch to that at some point. It's not good for handheld, like facing myself for sure. So anytime you see a vlog clip where I'm in here, I'm on my GX7 because it's a way better camera for that purpose. Other than that, yeah, I'm really excited. I had a really good time in New York. There's a vlog about that you guys can check out. I will link it above for you. Oh, I have added a bunch of things to the board. A few things have come up. I now have a not secret, but like fun costume that's a group costume with a bunch of people at costume college. And I have another fun, I'm gonna wear my butterfly dress with Sarai and a few other people at costume college as well. I don't usually costume at costume college, so that'll be interesting. Anyway, the first costume that I was talking about wearing with a big group is going to involve my black chemise, so I just need to build a few extra pieces for it to complete the look. So, and it'll be very clear what it is when I start doing that. I also got invited to a very special party for a friend. It's just like a birthday party, but it is a costumed one. I don't have to wear a costume, I guess, but it's, you know, costumes admired and strongly desired. So that's medieval fantasy something. Lord of the Rings, I don't know. So I'm thinking about making a kirtle because then I could use it for fantasy stuff, but then I could also use it for like historical stuff. I don't know, I might like dive off the deep end. That's a problem for not right now, Noelle. What else do I have on here? Lynn made a very, very beautiful, is it a berger? It's the flat hat that they wore in the 18th century that like I already have one of. She made another one, but not for me, just because she was practicing techniques, and it's beautiful. And the underside has this beautiful Williamsburg print on it. And so I volunteered to go get some of that print and make another Amalia jacket and then make a quick skirt to go with it so I can shoot it for her because she likes to have models shoot her hats and stuff. So I'm gonna whip out an Amalia jacket at some point. And I also really have always wanted a banyan, so it's now on the list. When am I gonna do this and make all this stuff for my cruise? I have no idea. I feel really happy to have like inspiration and to like want to sew all these things now, because there was a long while there where like I did not want to sew. I just didn't feel inspired about what I was sewing. And I mean, I'm sewing these secret pants because Patreon members voted that that's the thing I should do, because there's a bunch of things that like I vaguely wanted on my list, but I didn't really know what to sew because I kind of wasn't. Stuff like that. Like, I want these things, I want to make these things, but like, it would be fine if I didn't make them right now. I could make them later, whatever. So it's nice to have things on the list that I'm like, ooh, I want to make these and I need to make these now, which will make me like more motivated to like get in here and do that instead of what I have been doing. So anyway, this has been your 10-minute interlude of me chatting at you in between things, because I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, but for you, you're like, oh, we just saw you like literally last second. Anyway, I'm gonna carry on making this. We're on step 3 right now, which is pleating the back. Okay, so this is the back seam. I think this is gonna be my center back. I have done one set of the pleats, which look good to me. They tell you to iron them all the way down to the hem, so I'm going to do that. And then I think I'm also going to maybe baste it gently. I don't know if that's necessary, but and it's not in the instructions, but I feel like every time I have done something like this, basting it has been a smart move. So I'm going to do that, I think. Okay, we are here on number 4, which is many instructions and different on the right and left sides, which seems like it's going to be the most complicated instruction, and I've frankly been avoiding it, but actually now that I think about it, I don't think it is going to be the most complicated. I think it's pretty simple. I think the thing that's going to happen with the waistband later is a little what, because they do a very, like, integral diagram here. Anyway, so basically what this is the right and left sides are different, obviously, because one has buttons and one has buttonholes. So on the right side, which is the side we're on right now, we're going to fold on this line and press that line in, and then we're going to put in 10 buttonholes, as you would imagine we would need to do. Look at all these scrunchies I've got going. And if we flip this over and put it on the left side, the fold is going to be significantly less, and then we're just going to put buttons on to match. So that is what I'm going to work on today, is getting these buttons and buttonholes in. I have a couple hours before I'm supposed to head out to see Dr. Strange with a friend of mine, so hopefully I can get these done. Okay, I marked the fold. I folded it, and I just pinned it to check it on top of the thing, and it does look good. Like, the line is right there, so that looks good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and iron this in, mark the buttonholes, and get those going. For the curious, I have this bag of pre-covered buttons that are just black buttons that are 5/8 inch, which is exactly what this pattern calls for 20 of. So I am going to use these because I don't want to cover buttons right now, so excellent. So I'm going to do a test to make sure that I still remember how to make buttonholes, and then I'm going to make all these buttonholes. Yay! I'm about to go out to have dinner with my friend, but I got it done, so I'm very excited about that. And we are done with the first page of instructions. Yes. Okay, it's placket time. You just sew around the curved edge here, and then you clip it, flip it, iron it, sew the edges down, you baste them down, and then you attach them to the skirt. Okay, we have these guys going. They're almost complete. I'm just cutting these buttonholes, and then I will attach them to the sides. I put a pin in them so I know which side is the right side, because there is like somewhat of a difference, you know, maybe in the buttonholes looking a little bit different in front and back. And when you attach them to the skirt, you're definitely supposed to do it right sides together, so I did that. A couple of you have asked, because at one point I said I bought a bunch of different buttonhole cutters, including like woodworking chisels, and I was going to make a video about like which one of these is best or whatever. The reason I haven't done that is honestly because they're all kind of fine. Like, I definitely recommend them over like trying to cut buttonholes yourself, because that has ended in tears for me more than once. Oh, I have a little thread to clip here. Of like accidentally slicing all the way through, but it was a jacket and it was silk and it was all the silk I had, and I had to buy more silk and wait and do the whole entire front piece again. So I do like buttonhole cutters better, but honestly, they're all kind of the same. Even the wood chisels, so like if you just want to go down to your local hardware store and Home Depot, whatever, and get yourself some wood chisels, they work too. The wood chisels are interesting because they come in a bunch of different widths, which is kind of nice. And they are generally made out of possibly like hardier material that might stay sharp longer, I would say, because they're designed for a lot more wear and tear than you're actually going to give them. So I did like that. I still have all of them, and I still use all of them. This is just the set that was on top. This came in this package, and it just says made in China, Yequin, Yequin, Y-E-Q-I-N. 3 pieces of buttonhole cutter for buttonholes and eye holes, and it has an eye hole cutter, a buttonhole cutter, and a cover for your buttonhole cover, and a little self-healing mat thing to cut on, which I enjoy having. So it was actually the one that was on top, which is why I used it, but this thing is useful, so I do recommend a self-healing mat for this project. So anyway, these are done. I'm going to stitch them on to the skirt fronts, and then I have to do the skirt sides. There's another placket that goes on the other side of this that isn't decorative. It goes on the underside, and then I can start joining skirt pieces together and feel like I'm actually getting somewhere. We've gotten to the crazy hair section of this video, although it's always kind of crazy. Okay, I have plackets are on. There's a placket on the side seam. Now, 2 things have happened. One, our air conditioning is broken. supposed to be like 95 degrees in a couple days. I'm not excited about this. My husband's not in town. That doesn't matter because obviously I could call the repair guy myself, but they're not calling us back. So I think I'm gonna probably not have air conditioning through that. So if you hear noise outside, I apologize. It's because my window's open because it's mighty warm. The second thing is it wants me to first sew the sides to the fronts, and then it wants me to put a dart into the sides. I don't want to put the dart in after I've sewn the fronts, and that just seems like more faff, like having a giant extra piece hanging off of that. No, that's silly. I'm gonna do the dart first, so I'm going off script. So that's what's happening. Okay, so here is the front section. You can see this. I've only done 1/2 so far. This is the button side, so I think that's the right side. I have gotten the side seam on. The placket is there. The other placket that will go over top is here. And then I am attaching the back to the sides. And I'm going to do this for both sets. And then there's crotch seam stuff that I got to figure out. Alrighty, now I have two essentially legs, right? Because I have a back, a front, and a side that are all together. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew the leg seam up on both of these. So I'm just matching these up and stitching and then ironing this open. I have just decided that this is fine. I zigzagged all the edges just to be sure, and I'm leaving it and not going to worry about it too much. If I get uppity about it later, I'll go like stitch down those edges, but for now I think it's fine. Alrighty, it is everyone's favorite time. It is crotch time. Okay, so crotches are a bit of a weird seam that we don't encounter too much in historical costuming unless you make like late underwear or you make men's clothes, because there's not a lot of crotches involved for ladies until essentially like the end of the Victorian era. Okay, so you do that by flipping one of the legs right side out and stuffing them inside each other and matching up the crotch seam. So I'm going to do that and then come back and show you what that looks like. Alright, I have two skirt legs. One has been turned right side out, which is the interior one, so the right sides are together. I just pinned them, and otherwise it's just like any other seam, really. So I'm just gonna go sew them. The crotch seam seems really intimidating until you just like do it once and like figure out like, oh, you just stuff this one thing inside the other and it's fine. And then you can pull it out and you'll have a skirt. Pants. I'm making pants. This is what I'm supposed to be making, is pants. Okay, cool. Okay, seam's in and I've ironed it flat. So now I'm just gonna pull this other leg out and we have pants. Woo! That are currently being held together by pins right here, but so far so good. Now I'm just gonna like check this seam to make sure it's cool, and it's looking good. Like nothing weird is caught or the seam doesn't do anything bizarre. Look at that meet up. It's pretty good. So I'm just gonna go back and press it open and press it from both sides so that it's nice and open. Okay, I am at this confusing drawing and it is no longer confusing because it's just basically telling me to like have the front be the front. So the waistband will go on basically around this and clamp this like permanently shut. And they just want to make sure that this is all like in here and that this is the right side and it is over the left side, not the other way around. And that the buttons are on top of the center front, which they are almost exactly. So that's great. So they're just making sure that everything there is fine, and they describe it like verbally, not verbally, textually, whatever. If you say it out loud, it's verbally. Then they're describing that there. Then they're just telling you to put the front waistband on and have it hang over by 1/2 inch, basically, and go all the way around this front placket. So there's two waistbands. There's a front waistband and a back waistband because the placket's open. All right, so this is the front waistband. As you can see, it's attached to the front part. Here are the plackets. Hi, I can use words that are in English that make sense. So this is all sewn or pinned down, and I will sew that down, and then I will tuck in this edge and the top edge and then fold the whole thing in half and stitch it down, probably manually by hand because that's how I am about these things. Okay, we have a front waistband on. Just gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing in the back. Get that guy on, and then we can get it fitted. Today's Noel is fresh and clean and shiny for you. We have descended into the chaos of a normal vlog, so I'm very excited about that. Last night I did get the buttons on the pockets and also the hooks and eyes. Today's adventures have been vast, and I will tell you about them. They include me realizing when I went to level this hem that I cannot put this on my mannequin because it's pants. And I was like, oh. Great. Anyway, it's really cute on. So there's hooks and eyes in here. I use double skirt hooks. I found these a while ago and I love them because there's just like two together. It's really solid. And then these are actually functional. Like I have to unbutton these in order to get this thing off. So I only have to do one side though. So I do want to show you a problem that I had today. So I went over to my friend Erica's house and she was busy because she's going to Star Wars Celebration tomorrow. Her mom helped me level my hem though, which was fantastic. But I also noticed that I have what I like to call a vulva butt. Here's a picture of the butt. Cool. Cool. Love it. Don't really know what to do about it yet. I will, by the time this video ends, or by the time you see this video, we'll figure out a solution, so don't worry. But I'm thinking of like at least top stitching part of it down so it like stays down more rather than like opens out, but I have to like tack it and see if it'll hold and not pull and look weird or like make me not be able to move or whatever. And if I can't move, then I'm just gonna have vulva butt forever. Lots of my friends told me that if I just don't say anything, no one will notice, and that they wouldn't have noticed had I not said it, and now all they can do is think about it. But I'm giving this gift to you, my friends on the internet. Vulva butt. So I kind of think no matter what happens, you're gonna end up with this like weird butt crack. It's the best. Like even if I tack this down here, there's still this like area that is, you know, exposed. Weird. Kind of would have been better had these gone all the way to the center. I did check the pattern to see, and it like looks like I did this correctly. So, but even if it was all the way to the center, I think you'd still definitely want to tack that down. So anyway, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about that anymore right now. I'm just gonna assume that I might have that kind of butt. It's a thing that might happen. I got the hem leveled, so what I'm going to do now is just do a double rolled hem and go sit on my bed for several hours and hand do this hem because I do not want a row of stitching out. So that's what's happening. I was really pleased with the way that the waistbands went on. They look really nice, and I'm happy with that. And I did hand tack those in, so yeah. All right, I'm gonna go do a double hem and I'll be back to show you what this looks like on weird butt and all. Alrighty, we are feature complete on this split skirt. I'm like pants. These are pants that I'm making, that I have made. They're done. These pants are done. Anyway, the footage that you are seeing right now is me in my photo studio that I set up to take photos. It's kind of dark, but I wanted to get a little video footage of me wearing the skirts for you so you could see the front and the back and the pantslessness of it, which I think is great. Very excited about these. They're very, very comfortable. I'm super glad I made them without needing to have a corset on, which is fantastic. Yeah, would wear. Will wear because I own them, so that's great. I obviously need a shirt for this, so you're seeing me in a t-shirt because that is what was on hand when I wanted to film this for you. So yeah, I do need to make like a 1900s shirt waist for this to go under the vest anyway, so we'll see how I get up to on that, but for now this will do and it'll give you a good look at these pants. Anyway, as always, leave me a comment down below and let me know how you are, how things are going for you, what you're working on, what you are listening to, what you're watching, or what are you reading. any of those things, I am watching Our Flag Means Death again because that makes me happy. I also rewatched all the Oceans movies, including 8. I really like those movies. So I had a good time watching them while I was stitching the hemming of these pants and also the waistband. Oh, I did kind of decide to embrace the vulva of these pants. Like, the back is weird. I'm gonna be okay with it. It's just how it is. It looks better when you're moving around, although it's still weird, but whatever. Whatever. It's fine. I'm just gonna accept it as part of life. If I wanted to fix it, I would literally have to take them apart, press out those pleats, and press in new pleats that were in completely different places, and I think kind of the same thing would just happen again. So whatever, it is what it is, and I'm just gonna enjoy the pattern as it is. That is what I've decided. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week so far, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, if you would like to see more videos. I think I'm gonna maybe make mock-ups of the shirts that I want to make for the trip next, just to make sure that they work and that everything looks great on them and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. They are Decades of Style patterns, which typically have been great, so I'm excited about that. Oh, I need to put my caftan, the crazy gold one, on the list of things to make too. Okay, reminders for me. Okay, well, I'll see you guys next time with another video. Bye, guys!